Well, hi guys, and welcome to my artful abode. Come on in. So we're standing right in the middle of my hallway, obviously. And as you can see, I really love color. For the longest time, I didn't think I did, but little by little, I'm really embracing my love for both color and texture and design. And this hallway was always extremely dark. And it was basically just a staging area where I would drop off all the vintage items that I had bought, and they would just litter this hallway. It was painted kind of a beige, and it was just dark and depressing. And then one day I decided that it needed a facelift, and so I picked this beautiful bright coral color, and then I painted the ceiling navy blue. I originally wanted to install wallpaper in this hallway, but the idea of trying to do that on a ceiling just seemed extremely formidable. So I opted instead to do a stencil, which I ordered on Amazon, and it didn't really take that much time. Now I really love this hallway, and honestly, it is really bright, it's inviting, and I put some really beautiful items in here to make it even more so. I use this little gold chair here to actually put my shoes on when I have to go somewhere. So it is just like night and day, and I couldn't be happier with it. So when I was redoing the hallway, I needed some items to actually decorate in here. And one of the items I found was this amazing hallway table. I needed something that was very narrow because I definitely wanted a table in here. And so I actually found this at Epic Antiques when it was still in business from one of my favorite sellers there, Sandy, the treasure queen, and she gave me a really great price. It was like $135, and it fits perfectly in this space. And it's kind of funky and unusual and kind of Hollywood Regency all at the same time. This obviously is not real marble. It's like this faux marble, but it's just a lot of fun. And then I had been really binge watching home decor videos on YouTube, mostly the UK ones. And I think that's probably why I went with this coral pink and navy blue, because the English just have this way of using color and texture and pattern that I really admire. And one of the videos had two things. It had some really bright blue food dogs, and it had a bunch of like Italian leopard and lion figurines, and I fell in love with both of them. So I was cruising through a town nearby with my niece, and we decided to stop at this garage sale. It was really late in the day, and what do you know? They had these beautiful food dogs. I absolutely fell in love with them. And now when I remember, it wasn't food dogs that were in the video. It was just something in this strikingly blue color, which you don't see very often. So fell in love with these. I got a pair for $45, and I will never get rid of them. I'm going to treasure them for life. And so we carry these in our store. It's called a baby head. And I really loved this rainbow design. It was probably made for Pride, but it's made by a local artist. And when I saw him and his work at the Tacoma Night Market, I absolutely was enchanted. I had to have this one. I think it was like 3 times the price of just the regular colored ones, but I knew that it would kind of give this hallway a quirky touch. And then this little bowl right here, this was also the inspiration for this colorway. I had gone to visit my sister, and then we went to Santa Fe, and I picked up this little bowl. I think it was called 7 Ways. It's this beautiful Japanese inspired building where they have a tea house and accommodations. And I fell in love with this little bowl, and I brought it home, and honestly, I mean, it really matches my hallway because this was the inspiration. I think I actually took this to Sherwin-Williams so that I could get the actual paint just right. So I've actually lived here now 10 years, and the property actually has a very interesting, very kind of romantic story. So this property has been in the owner's family for 5 generations. It's basically split up into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units. So 4 of those are rented out to my neighbors, and then the owners live in one of the units, which is this really charming, whimsical little boathouse that looks like a ship. It is so charming. So when I first saw this place, I had to have it. I mean, there was everything inside of me just screamed like, this is home, right? And who wouldn't say that with the beautiful views? At the time, it was very drab though. It was all beige. As you'll see in the kitchen, the main part of the kitchen is still beige. But when the owners finally decided to rent to me after I was vetted, right away I said, I need to be able to paint. I need to be able to paint. I want to make it my own because I intend to live here for a long time. Never in my wildest dreams did I think I was going to be here 10 years or more, but honestly, I am so happy here. I can't see myself living anywhere else. And I don't have any yard maintenance, and I don't have any house maintenance because I rent. And luckily, they have trusted me over the years to basically create a beautiful environment. What's interesting is that this room here, so when I first moved in, I said, I don't want to be in the bedroom, which is now my dressing room, which we'll see in a little bit. I want to be in this room because it is so light filled, and I get to see the water from my bed. And so I'm like, I live by myself. I don't have to comply. I don't have to negotiate. I don't have to compromise. I could do whatever I want in my own space. And I have truly made this home my sanctuary in every way possible. So I've changed the light fixtures, I've painted, I just hung up curtains because I thought they would look really pretty in the video. And I'm just excited to show you guys around. So I have so many beautiful things that I've had forever. I'm very picky about what I decide to keep in my space because I have a hard time letting go of things. And so I have to be really careful about what I pick and choose. So I bought this beautiful Empire dresser. Gosh, I think I was still in my 20s, and I bought it in Snohomish, which is up north, and it happens to be the capital of antiquing in Washington State. And I completely fell in love with it. It was in a very junky shop. It was full of a bunch of stuff. It was really dark and cramped in that space, but I saw underneath all that, I saw this beautiful piece. At the time, I didn't have a lot of money, and so basically I asked the owner if he would let me do a layaway. We all know what layaways are. So I made a payment, and I think it took me 3 months to pay it off, and it finally got to come with me. But that's honestly the way that I got some major pieces at that time. I feel like antique owners were much more flexible. I also have to say that I think I paid $450 for this dresser, which in the 80s was a lot of money. 80s, early 90s, that was a lot of money. And at this point in time, you can get a beautiful Empire dresser and you're still gonna pay about $450 if you shop around. So unfortunately, the value of pieces like this have actually gone down, but I don't care. At the time, you know, they were much more expensive, but it's going to stay with me for life. So it doesn't matter if it's appreciated in value or not. So I just watched a YouTube video where somebody said that you should always have something weird in each room. And for me, that's Oscar. He's been with me for a very long time, over 10 years, probably more like 12 years. And he has an outfit for every occasion. It was just 4th of July on Friday, so I haven't changed this outfit yet, but maybe I'll put a summer outfit on him next. So here's another one of my collection. So this is my floral gallery, and I've collected these paintings over many years. I am actually still always on the hunt for florals that will be harmonious with the rest of the pieces that are here. And at this point, it's really difficult for me to remember where I got them all, but I can tell you that the top left and top right, the daisies and the roses, I got on a trip to Barcelona. There's a little section in the downtown area where vendors set up. So there's not very many booths, but I found those two beautiful paintings there. And then when I was in Belgium last year, I found this absolutely gorgeous painting in a little antique shop in Bruges. And I actually got it for 30 euros, which is really a good deal for a beautiful piece of art like this. And then this one down on the bottom, I picked up in Mexico outside of Guadalajara in the Chapala area. And it is really big, but I still bought it and I fit it in my suitcase and now it's hanging in my wall. So pieces really have to appeal to me in order for me to keep them. But I'm gonna say there's probably a couple that I would be willing to switch out if I found a better piece. So this fridge is ancient. And about, I'm gonna say it was a COVID project, I decided I wanted to paint the fridge. I recently had been contemplating painting my lower cabinets, which I did, and I decided I was gonna repaint the fridge. So this color is much brighter than the kitchen cabinets because I kept going back to the paint store and having them add more black paint, and it finally got to the color that I really wanted it, but I kind of left the fridge that same lighter pink, and then I thought, you know, I'm gonna buy a small can of like green paint and maybe it'll subdue the color and the design a little bit. It absolutely did not. It is very, very flamboyant, but you know, it's starting to grow on me. It is really fun. You know, eventually this fridge is gonna die because it is ancient. But I put, these are all, or not all, but these are some travel pictures that I also had done, and I just stuck them on the fridge because it reminds me of traveling and all the wonderful places I've been and all the wonderful things that I've seen. And I think it does kind of mellow out the fridge just a little bit. When I moved in, I had this alcove. I don't know what could have been in this alcove before I moved in, but I happened to be at my local hardware store and they were selling a bunch of shelving units. So I got this one. I think I paid $10 and it's absolutely perfect for all of my dishes, which live right here. I mean, this is literally all of my dishes. I do have some glassware stored away and I do have some like serving bowls and mixing bowls elsewhere, but my daily dishes are right here. So it's extremely convenient and it fills up this extremely awkward space. So this is one of my very favorite pieces that has been with me for a really long time. My sister and I drove over an hour away in the middle of winter, in the dark, in the pouring rain, to pick this up. It had come from the Midwest, and I think somebody probably handcrafted it, but it has been a treasured possession for, I don't even know, a very, very long time, and it's moved with me from place to place, and I'm just so happy that it fits here because it is gargantuan. It is really big. Luckily, it's in two pieces, so it's easy to transport. And then sometimes when I'm feeling creative, I will frame like loose pieces of art. So these are just pieces that are going to my store, my antique booth. I absolutely love these little dogs. And so these are not old, but they're from a company that does like reproductions on canvas. So they look like paintings. And then I just picked up this frame from the antique mall where my booth is. And then this lovely lady was a charcoal I picked up at a garage sale for $8. And I just framed her really simply in this black frame. So I kind of like having these here, even if it's just for a little while, to enjoy them. So when I moved in here, I again asked the owners if it would be okay if I painted the walls, because I really wanted to make this my home. But the one stipulation was that I not paint over this mural. So my bedroom used to be my landlord's bedroom when he was a little boy. And then they built on next door a much bigger place, and they raised their children there. And then when his mom got elderly, she lived here and she painted this. She painted this mural. So it is very, very loved by them, and they asked me not to paint over it. And for the longest time, I'm like, it is not my colorway. I don't find it attractive. But you know, that was 10 years ago, and now I absolutely love it. It looks so beautiful when the light is shining through. And honestly, I don't know what I would do if it wasn't here. So I really appreciate it now, and I'm so glad that they didn't let me paint over it. So in the UK tradition, I decided to be bold and paint my lower cabinets this beautiful berry color. I absolutely love it. As I mentioned before though, it took me 3 trips to the paint store to get the color just right, because I didn't want it to look pink. I wanted it to look more like a berry color, which it does now, like a raspberry color. So it is very bright, it is very bold, but I absolutely love it. So I'm really excited about this cabinet. I picked this up from Facebook Marketplace. I paid $125. It was a wood tone with a really gigantic base that would have made it really tall, except I didn't want a tall cabinet because it would sit right next to my hutch, and I didn't want 2 really tall pieces. But I wanted something where I could display all of my beautiful things. So this is gonna serve perfectly for that. The only thing is, I didn't have as many things to put in here as I thought. So a lot of these things are actually items that I have listed in my Etsy and my eBay shop. Gosh, let's see, like this lion right here, he is listed. That little tiny painting, which is so precious, is listed on eBay. So wait, the marble bookends, I think I decided to keep the marble bookends. But like this Japanese, that is actually a teapot, and that's listed, and that one's listed. That's also a teapot. The jack is listed, and so is the Mexican leather box. But you know, I figure as they sell, I will replace the items with other items that I will keep instead of sell. So I'm not really in the habit, until probably this last year, of displaying items that I have listed. But currently I do have some items that I'm using as decor. because I feel like, you know, why tuck them away in a storage unit when I can enjoy them? So what is item, you know, like this item I had decided to keep. I picked this up in Lille, and was it Lille? Yeah, it was Lille in France. And it was going to go online, but I absolutely fell in love with the graphics and the design of it. So now I'm glad I kept it. And gosh, what else? Here's another one of those English pottery pieces. Now this little Staffordshire dog is an old one. I picked him up in Brimfield, and I am going to list them. I picked up 3 Staffordshire dogs. And I think I want to say one of them is already listed, but he's also going to be listed. I just don't know when. This little shell I made myself. I was in a crafty mood last year, and I went down to the beach and I got a bunch of shells, oyster shells, and then I just decoupaged a beautiful navy blue napkin, painted the shell gold, and I put them in my store. But honestly, I don't have that kind of time to be that crafty or making shells to sell. Gosh, what's down here? Just a bunch of things. I love this little nest. It's absolutely precious. I picked this little bunny up during Christmas, but I think he's so sweet. I'm going to display him all year around. So super happy with this shelf. Before I had a table here, and the table was just getting more and more crowded, and you weren't, you know, I just couldn't fit really anything else in it. This piece up here I found on OfferUp. It was only $10, and I was actually selling at a market at the time, and he lived in the same town, and he brought it to the market for me to buy it. And when I saw it, I'm like, sorry, that's gonna have to come home with me. And it's been here ever since. And then these 2 antique rose paintings, they're very, very much shabby chic style, but I picked these up for $8 a piece at a garage sale here locally, and I love them. I think they're absolutely beautiful. I had a much larger, longer one, but that one I sold on eBay, and so I just have these 2, but I think they're just really spectacular. So other people have junk drawers, but I actually have a junk cake stand. So whenever I run into things I don't know what to do with, like these little steel pens, this little glass topper, this little shoe buckle, I just stick them on here. As long as they're cute and interesting, they will wind up in my little pile. That's just a little pin. And then I also keep my tape measures here because this is where I do all of my shipping. Matchbox. So anyways, that's my little junk pile. And then I love color, I love pattern, I love art, and whenever I run into business cards that I feel are very artistic, I will actually keep them and I will stick them up here. So I have some favorite cards that I have picked up in the past that I thought were really, really interesting, as well as some other little pieces of memorabilia. So it's just fun. It just sits on this mirror and I get to look at it every day. So mostly the kitchen is very basic, but it totally works for me. I've often thought about changing out this basic countertop from the 60s or 70s. But this is where I do all of my craft projects, and I paint here, and I use glue and tape. And so I can't think of another surface that would be more durable than what's already on here. So I did spruce up this area a year ago when I got a new kitchen faucet. And so basically this was really ugly. I just ordered contact paper. I put that behind it. I added these little shelves with this brass railing. I got this little hanging hook or hanging bar from IKEA, which is really fabulous actually. And I got this from IKEA. It's where I hold my kitchen sponge and scrubber. These are also from IKEA. They just nicely hang there. Another shelf, and then basically everything I need is on this countertop. So I'm really pleased with it. I always love like vintage ceramic containers to hold utensils. This one I've had for absolutely forever, but I think it is the prettiest utensil container. I really love this little berry colander. My daughter got this for me for my birthday when we went up to La Conner, Washington, and I spotted it and I absolutely wanted it because I eat berries almost every single day. So that was such a perfect little gift, and it fits perfectly up here. It really is everything that I could possibly want. And then when I need to work, I use the big counter. Welcome to my dressing room. So just a quick story. When I was young, I had a best friend who lived in this gigantic Victorian. I absolutely fell in love with their eclectic style. It was filled with vintage and antiques. And interestingly enough, her mom had her own dressing room, which I was enchanted with. It was filled with jewelry and clothes and makeup. And so when I moved in here and I knew I wasn't going to use this room as a bedroom, I decided this was my opportunity to create my own dressing room. So I found these on Facebook Marketplace. I paid $200 for them. One day I feel like I want to paint them and do something really interesting, but for now they work. They're very neutral colored. But this is where I keep all of my sweaters. I keep my pants in here. I keep my boots and my shoes, and most importantly, most of my jewelry. I also have closets on this wall, and then this is where I store my hats. I don't wear all of them, but occasionally I do wear some of my straw hats or my felt hats as well. And then I have some purses tucked away in my closet, but I also have some down here. One of my favorites is this one. My friend Matt gave me this, And I absolutely think it's just the most fabulous, groovy bag I have ever seen. It is so incredible, and I am so glad to have it in my collection. And I do use it on occasion. This one's also really beautiful, and this was actually a gift from Tina at Abraham's Charity House. She had set it aside, and when I walked in, she said, I have this bag and it is totally you, and she gifted me this bag, which I also really love. So there is actually a really interesting story about this particular hat. It is really in amazing condition, and it is a Stetson. And this hat I bought with my own money because I always worked as a teenager, and I saved up my money and I bought it, and it is a Stetson, and inside it says Abby Lopez. So they stenciled my name inside the hat brim, and I paid $30 for this, and honestly, it doesn't even look like it's very old, but I am 60 now, so it is 45 years old. So another treasured collection that I have is my Bakelite collection. I learned about Bakelite in my 20s, and I absolutely fell in love with this jewelry genre. And not all of the bangles that I have are Bakelite. Some of them are lucite or vintage plastics, but I do have some pretty fabulous pieces of Bakelite. And my favorite time to wear Bakelite is in the summer because the colors are so bright and vibrant. And honestly, it gives me so much joy just to walk in this room and see all the pieces of Bakelite that I've collected over the years. So this is my deck. It isn't very big, but I try every year, even though I don't have a green thumb, to plant some flowers. I come out here almost every single day because I don't have a drip system. I have to hand water everything, but I actually feel like it is kind of a Zen activity, and I love coming out barefoot and getting water on my feet. I feel like it's just so refreshing, but it is a lovely space. As you can see, I have a beautiful view, but I also don't like to be in the direct sun, so I have a couple of umbrellas here which shade. I can move around the yellow one which shades my loungers, and then that way I can just move and be in the shade if that's what I want. I find living on the water to be extremely relaxing. I love having the big windows because I can just look out and see this beautiful bay. And when I need to take a break and the weather is nice, I have my little deck. It's really all that I could possibly dream of because it is extremely low maintenance because it's not a big space. I got these are Restoration Hardware loungers, and I only paid $150 for them a few years ago. And I just recently got these really fun lounger cushions from Home Goods, and I absolutely love them. They're just a lot of fun. My sister who passed gave me this little iron table, which I painted orange along with this table and chair set. Basically what I wanted to do was just to create a really colorful oasis out here with a lot of different colors and patterns, and I'm pretty happy with it. So this is my bathroom and my washer and dryer area. And I actually painted this bathroom, I would say maybe 4 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago, because it faces the parking lot, faces east, and there's a ton of trees outside. It's always really dark in here. So my biggest tip for dark spaces is if they're already dark, lean into that. So I chose this really deep green. It's called Peacock Blue by Sherwin-Williams. Even after all this time, I really love this color. It is really rich and warm. And as soon as I painted it, I decided that I needed to lean into kind of an Americana style of decor in here. And so I really put up a lot of things that I really enjoy myself. So I have an American flag. I found this wonderful Texaco sign on the way to Eastern Washington. I paid $10 for it. One of my favorites is this number 3. It's a metal sign. I love 10 signs. I love any signs that have like numbers on them, and number 3 is my favorite number. And outside I have another one that's also a number 3 in a different colorway. And then right below it is this Masonic temple group picture that I picked up from a man named Phil. He is a picker, and I've gone to his house multiple times to buy a bunch of art from him. Most of it has gone to the store, but when I saw this Masonic picture, I instantly gravitated towards it. I think it is so interesting in so many different ways. They're all wearing their Masonic regalia. They're standing in front of this Masonic temple. I love that it's this large scale picture, and I think it looks really good in here. I also have like nautical prints and landscapes in here. I also tend to collect the little boards that have advertising like on fruit crates or vegetable crates. So I have a few of those, and I'm still adding to that collection, but I don't see them that often. And so anyways, I love this bathroom. It's actually extremely spacious for a small apartment like my place is. I said the shower is so teeny tiny. I would have given up more floor space to have a much bigger shower, but you know, it is what it is, and I don't take long showers, so it's really not a big deal. If I had to pin down my style, I would say that I really lean more towards the traditional slash Americana slash primitive slash very, very eclectic. I also happen to love art. I also tend to really gravitate towards textiles. So I have a lot of pattern and color in linens and textiles. And then as far as like objects of art, I buy what I really love, only what I really love. And then, you know, they pretty much stay in my collection for life. I would say over probably the last 3 or 4 years, I've doubled down on basically vignettes throughout my home. I think before that, I didn't, you know, I've never really had a lot of space here to do like gigantic display. I have learned over the years, like, there's no point in buying things unless you're able to display and enjoy them as well. So I do have multiple videos where I've done different parts of this home, and you're welcome to go down and take a look at those to see the transformations. And I'm going to have a behind the scenes look of like prepping my home for this house tour. So I hope you've enjoyed it, and next week is just our regular thrifting videos and haul video, and you know, I'll see you then.